Hello again and thanks for stopping by. My name's Fiona and welcome. Last year in 2024 I lost 35 kilos and today I'm here to tell you how I did that. Often when you lose quite a bit of weight you get to a point where you have work colleagues and friends and family coming up to you and saying, oh wow, you look great, how did you lose so much weight? And you give them some sort of glib answer normally about, oh, I exercised more or I stopped eating takeaway or whatever the case might be. But I think quite often what they actually want is the detail of exactly how you did lose the weight. So today I'm going to be that friend to you and I'm going to step you through exactly what I did to lose 35 kilos in about a 10-month period. So if you want to see how I went from this to this, keep watching. Just a brief background about myself as well to give you a bit of an overall picture of my story. So I was never a big girl, I suppose. As a child, I was a normal, fairly skinny kid, and generally over my teens and 20s and into my early 30s, I was around the 55 to 60 kilo mark. That seemed to be the weight that my body just naturally gravitated towards. And then in my late 30s, I had children relatively late. You probably see from my channel that there are some older videos I was posting about a decade ago when I was on maternity leave. So at that point I'd had my daughter who was about 4, I had my son who was about 9 months, and I was just heading back to work. And what I found was at that point I was wearing a size 12 inner pant that was fairly snug for me. And from that point on, life getting busy, prioritising your family and a lot going on, I increasingly just put on the weight slowly and steadily until it got to around end of 2023, beginning of 2024, where I was into a size 16 in my work pants and they were getting snug. So it got to a point where I just knew that I needed to do something, which is probably the first step. You need to be at a point where you're saying to yourself, okay, something's got to change. I'm going to do this. So here we go. First of all, I've broken it down for you into my 5 P's for success. So number 1 is purpose. Why are you wanting to go on this journey? Number 2 is plan. How are you going to achieve these goals that you've set? Number 3 is prepare. So getting everything together that you need to go ahead with this plan and succeed. Number 4 P is to proceed. Just do it. Get started, and I'll give you some tips on how. And the final P in the 5 P's to success is persist. So keep going until you reach your goals, and I'll help you to do that also. First P being the purpose. I'm not going to go into any sort of big spiritual discovery or anything here, but you need to know why you're doing this. Yes, that the P could also have just as easily been prioritized. So as a woman and as a mother, you do tend to not prioritize yourself. So you look after everyone else and then whatever's left over you put towards yourself. So yeah, prioritize yourself, put yourself first, make sure that you have everything that you need for this weight loss journey in place and that you're doing that before you start looking after everybody else. So with your purpose on why you're wanting to do this, my suggestion would be to write it down so you're more accountable to it, and so you have a record at the end to look back on what it was that you were trying to achieve. So I made about 5 dot points for myself and the reasons that I wanted to lose weight. First reason being I wanted to be a participant and not a spectator in my life and also the life of my children. So it had got to a point where I found myself not going to the beach, not going in the pool for a swim because I was self-conscious of the way I looked. I got puffed walking from the car park to the beach, to the sand. And not only was that uncomfortable, I was embarrassed about that. And it was actually physically difficult to get a swimsuit on. It was too much of a struggle, so I just didn't do it. So I also wanted to look better and feel more confident in my body for myself. Not for anybody else, just for me. And I also wanted to enjoy fashion again. You know, I got to a point where I was struggling to find clothes that fit me, and particularly clothes that were stylish or flattering, and I miss that. I miss, you know, having those clothing options that were open to me when I was a smaller person. I wanted to be healthier. I didn't feel healthy. I was getting puffed out walking up my driveway, and I knew that what I was putting into my body was not good food. I wanted to be eating better and feeling healthier in myself, putting into place good habits that I could continue. And finally, I wanted to be a good example to my teenage daughter. So my daughter's 15 years old, and I wanted to show her that you should prioritise yourself and look after your health, and that it's important. So now that you have your why, the next P is plan. So plan your strategy of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And be realistic. You're not going to lose 8 kilos a week by just eating broccoli soup. You're just not. It's going to take time and perseverance. You know that, right? So I started on the 9th of January 2024. I weighed myself on that day, which I hadn't done in quite some time, and I weighed 93.4 kilograms. I generally knew that I wanted to get back down to around that 60 kilogram mark that I knew was realistic for my body. I'm sure you've heard people say, you know, it's eating less and moving more, and this idea of a calorie deficit. So basically the number of calories that are going in as far as food goes needs to be less than the number of calories that are being expended or going out as far as just movement and daily life in order to lose weight. It's that simple. So the plan, this is your strategy. So how much weight do you want to lose? What is the ideal weight you're trying to get down to? And how long is it going to take you to get there? So the first step in the plan is to, I guess, to use a phrase of my children, is to do the math. You need to know the exact numbers of what you're trying to achieve and what you're wanting to lose and how you're going to lose it. What I did was I went to a website called calculator.net. I have some really great calculators to assist you in working out weight loss goals. So what you're looking for on the website is the ideal weight calculator. In this calculator, you're going to put in your age, your gender, and your height. And I'm in Australia, so mine is in metric units. And what this calculator does, it gives you a result from 4 different popular formulas for working out your ideal weight. And with me, you can see there's 4 formulas there, and I kind of went to the highest number, I suppose. It seemed to be a realistic way to approach it. So the ideal weight for me came out at 58 kilos, which was about right from what I knew from my previous comfortable and standard weight, I suppose. So then obviously I knew that if I weighed 93.4 kilos and I wanted to get down to around 58 kilos, I was looking at a weight loss of around 35 kilos. The next step then is to work out, well, how long is it going to take to get there? So what is a reasonable time frame based on a realistic amount of weight to lose? And what I decided was a kilogram a week was a fairly realistic goal of the actual weight loss. If I'm wanting to lose a kilo a week and I've got 35 kilos to lose, it's going to take 35 weeks. So at the time that I started in January, I was hoping to be at my goal weight by the end of October, near my birthday. I ended up not really getting there for a month later. It was around November, which is okay, but I got there. The next calculator that you're going to want to look at on calculator.net is the calorie calculator. And what this will do is identify for you how many calories per day you should be eating in order to achieve your weight loss goal. So similar to the previous calculator, in this one you put in your age, your gender, your height, your current weight, and then it will calculate for you the number of calories to maintain that weight and the number of calories to lose weight. So there's a category there that says extreme weight loss, which is the 1 kilo a week weight loss, which is what I was aiming to do. I personally don't think that's extreme, but I knew for myself I needed to get to my goal weight within the time frame of a year, or I just wouldn't persist with it. So that was about as long as I could see myself managing to keep up that level of discipline that I knew I would need. So also with this calculator, there's a drop down there to choose your level of activity, which obviously influences the results for the calories. I chose a sedentary or little exercise level, even though I was intending to try and walk and do some exercise. I thought choosing that as a base level was a good idea, and then obviously if I exercised more than that, correlating weight loss would potentially be greater. This calculator basically comes out to say that in order for myself to lose that kilo a week, my calorie intake should be around 811 calories a day, which is probably quite low. To make up your own decisions and do your own research about that. But personally, I think that's relatively realistic, and I certainly wouldn't go any lower than that. Okay, so now I had my goal. I wanted to get down to around the 58 to 60 kilo mark from my starting weight of 93.4 kilos. And so basically losing around 35 kilos. I wanted to do that within the shortest period possible, I suppose. I was hoping to do that within about 9 months. It did end up taking me 10 months, as I said before. The simple math of that was that I needed to lose that kilo a week for that period in order to achieve my goal weight. And so now I knew in order to achieve that, I had to find a plan or a strategy around that 800 calories a day. And just coincidentally, I suppose at the same time, I was reading Michael Mosley's Fast 800 diet book in trying to find some sort of strategy that might work for me. So that is a diet based on an 800 calorie a day intake. And a lot of what I was reading in this book was making a lot of sense to me. It is based on scientific research, and there was obviously some synergy there with what I had identified as my goals and this particular diet. And what I actually did was took a combination of the helpful points, I suppose, that I got from this book and the suggested diet, and combined that with the Optifast low-calorie shakes, because I had had success with those in the past and I knew that was something that I liked. And I also liked the fact that that is the diet shake, I guess, that seems to have the most medical backing. It's the one that is often used in hospitals when people are preparing for weight loss surgery. The other thing I should say here also is that your plan or your strategy obviously needs to be something that will work for you. So something based on your lifestyle, your commitments, your cooking, eating and shopping habits. So for me, it needed to be, first of all, simple. I needed a plan where I knew pretty much mapped out for the week exactly what I was eating, and I didn't want to have all sorts of fancy ingredients and different things I had to have on hand for different meals, and it all needed to be convenient and simple and pretty no fuss, because obviously at the same time the rest of my family was actually eating proper meals, I suppose. So I create this massive workload for myself that just wasn't realistic. So the relying on the shakes actually assisted greatly with that. So I know people are probably thinking, oh, I've tried shakes before and they just didn't work for me. And I'd encourage you to try. There's lots of different flavours in the Optifast shakes. You'll probably find one that you would like, and there's certain things that I did with those shakes as well to make them more appetizing and something that I'll be able to consuming for a long period of time. So I obeyed myself once a week every Monday, and initially losing 5 kilos a month for the first few months, and then it went down to about an average of 3 kilos a month. If you made it this far, really appreciate it, and hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you are going on this journey, please subscribe and then you won't miss out on all the details that are coming up. Thanks so much for watching. Great to have you here, and I'll see you I'll see you again soon.